Hi, we're the Chapel Arts Creative Writing Group. This year, our theme for the Buxton Fringe is the Secret Gardens, which is actually commemorating 150 years of the Pavilion Gardens in Buxton, Derbyshire. The group has recorded some short stories and poems and a couple of sketches, but today we have some short stories and Nina is going to start off with hers, which is called Sophie Goes to the Pavilion Gardens. Over to Nina.
Thank you. Today was meant to be my special day. I was meant to show Mum and Dad that I really am a dolphin. Right now, they should be watching me swim 25 meters without stopping. Instead, I have to hold Dad's hand in the gardens whilst he talks to another dad about barbecues. Mum says we can try again next week. She doesn't understand that next week it will be too late. Emily is going to swim her 25 meters today, and it's my own stupid fault. I forgot my special goggles, and my stupid sister gets to take my place. Dad's hand feels sweaty. He's not even really holding mine. I wait until he needs to use both hands to make a signal for the other dad. Don't go too far, Sophie, and don't go taking off your glasses, I hear him shout after me. Stupid glasses. Down by the boating lake, the mother duck is quacking loudly. Her ducklings aren't paying much attention. They're in a line, quacking amongst themselves. Perhaps they're having a race. The sun has snuck in from between the cover of the trees. It's warm on my head. I want to watch the ducks to see who wins the race. I want to be a duck who doesn't need glasses and who can swim all day on the lake. Dad is still talking. I take off my pink framed glasses and I tuck them neatly into my pocket. It'll just be for a minute. No one will know. The world looks funny. The ducks are all fuzzy and the trees look like one. If I squeeze my eyes tight shut, maybe it will all look clearer when I open them again. I wish I was a duck. 1, 2, 3. When I open my eyes, I'm no longer sitting on the bench by the lake. I'm actually on the lake. I scream for Dad for help, but what comes out sounds more like a quack. Dad, I try again. Dad. But it's no use. There are just more quacking sounds. From here, I can see the other ducks, still waiting in their line. I try to reach into my pocket for my glasses, only I don't have pockets. My body's been replaced with yellow fluff. Underneath the water, I can see little yellow feet and they're attached to me. A sound is coming from the bushes. I don't think I know how to use these feet. And then suddenly I do. And I'm gliding over the water and it feels fast and fun. Hello, I greet the little ducky who's hiding in the overgrown grasses. What's the matter? I ask. It looks like he's trying to hide his head in the grass so no one can hear him. But I know he's crying, like when I put my head into my pillow after being told off. Hey there, I say again. From here, I can still see the other baby ducks flapping around. Are they your brothers and sisters? I ask. He turns to look at me. He nods. They're waiting for me, he says. Right. I look again at the line of ducklings in the water. So they aren't racing after all. Well, I say, why don't you just go and catch them up? He looks at me. I wish I knew his name. I'm Sophie, by the way, I offer. Peter, he tells me, and I don't want to catch them up. I can't do it. I just can't swim. The sun has gone away, and here in the grass it suddenly feels cold. What do you mean you can't swim? I ask. You're swimming right now. It's not the same, he says. When they all set off in that line and the wind comes, my head just keeps going under the water and I just lose my place. Well, I'm sure they wait. I think about when I get stuck in the swimming pool and the teacher tells me to move out of the way. He shakes his head. I don't want them to wait. I want to be able to do it. I see. I've had the same feeling. It was my sister Emily who suggested I should always start last when we set off on a group swim, so that when it's my turn, I'm not scared about being overtaken. Now, I kick away from the wall and I watch the feet of the swimmer in front. Left arm over, right arm over, breathe. Peter, I say, where in the line do you swim? He looks at me, his eyes suddenly clear. At the back. Oh, it's terrible, Sophie Duck. I get all confused and I mess it up for everyone else. And then they all have to wait for stupid me. I understand, I say, because I really, really do. Perhaps you could try a different position then. I swim at the back because it helps me to concentrate on my stroke. But for you, you could ask to go in the middle, and then your brothers and sisters could protect you from the wind, and you'll be able to keep up. I can see he's thinking it over. Go on, I say. Ask your mum. He waddles through the reeds and I watch as he swims around in a circle in front of his mum. He could be explaining, but I can't hear. Ripples of water swim out all around him. Next, and it happens so fast, they all swim past, Peter included, and it looks like the perfect line. You're the best, Sophie Duck. Thank you, he shouts. His brothers and sisters weren't going to leave without him. With my eyes squeezed shut, I wish with all my might to be a little girl again. I'm not sure whether it will work, but when I open my eyes, I'm here, standing next to my dad, with my hand in his. Dad, I say, when he's finished talking, why don't we go and cheer Emily on? He smiles at me and says, what an excellent idea.
Oh,
Very
thanks,
good.
Dina.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed listening to that story and how it's evolved. We went to Oxford a couple of weeks ago and went on a rowing boat down the river and had to film every single duck that I saw.
Lovely.
In case we wanted it as a backdrop. So that's been really lovely listening to that, and hopefully our younger audience will love that as well. So we have now got a story from Sarah, which is called Memories. Now, we've been doing the virtual background screens, and we just need to point out Sarah doesn't have green teeth. It's the background that's mingling in with her. So she's been trying very hard to stay in one position and keep those green teeth at bay. But just so that the viewers know, that's what it is. It's a virtual background. So over to Sarah with Memories.
Memories. The ducks are a-dabbling, tails in the air, and small children are paddling with shrieks and laughter. This is exactly why Miriam comes to Buxton Pavilion Gardens. It is her place of memories. Miriam and her own daddy, once upon a time, had glorious days of fun here. The miniature train hoots as it trundles by. Miriam walks steadily but slowly towards the waiting queue and buys her ticket. A little girl with fine blonde hair comes by too, and her daddy scoops her up. The giggles rain down and float high. It is the signal of the magic descending all over again. Miriam asks, what if you hadn't died, Daddy? What if you had lived to a ripe old age? What if you had been my dear Daddy until I was 80? It's horrible missing you this much. The child and the man, they look rather uncomfortable. Oh, goodness. Did I say that out loud, says Miriam. The man smiles. It's okay. It's okay to miss him. That might be this little girl one day, decades in the future, missing me, Why did she say that out loud, Daddy? Why did she do that? Says the little girl. It's because she misses her daddy. He's not here anymore. Why is he not here, Daddy? The lady steps forward and bends low to the little girl's level. He was ill, and he died when I was young. Oh, says the little girl. I'm so sorry he died. My rabbit died, and I miss him very much. The man and the lady smile a little smile to each other. Hey, Daddy, can we all go on the train together? Oh, absolutely, little one. He turns to the lady. She nods. The train hoots and arrives. Bundles of families get out, and those waiting tumble in. The little girl takes the lady's hand, and they settle sitting close, leaning gently against each other. My daddy used to bring me an ice cream, and we would sit on the bench over there and watch the people go by. Oh, my daddy does that, says the little girl. My daddy would call me Honey Bunch, except when he was cross with me. Then he called me Miriam Mary Ann, which is my full name. Oh, my daddy calls me Freya Elizabeth Louise if I'm naughty. Freya and Miriam laugh, but Freya giggles and wriggles with the jiggle of the laughter coursing through her body. Freya Elizabeth Louise, says Daddy in a pretend gruff voice, which makes Freya whoop. Oh, naughty Daddy! Miriam continues. My daddy would say, absolutely, instead of yes. He would buy special duck food. We would go over to the lake over there and make stories about each different duck. One duck was a mischief and would waddle up behind us and try to peck the duck food bag open. There he is, says Freya. Mr. Mischief Duck was indeed committing a stealthy theft of an unsuspecting family's duck food bag. Is that him? I think that might be his great-great-grandson, Mr. Mischief Duck III. Freya's daddy sat back, watching their interaction, the elderly woman and his daughter. Miriam seemed to like to wander through the park most days. There was this air of nostalgia about her. She would stop, seeming to watch scenes from the past. He realized that one day this could indeed be his own daughter, and maybe he would be long dead, just a collection of memories to be tenderly recalled, tucked close in her heart. Miriam, meanwhile, was telling Freya about how they used to see dogs and stop and talk to the owners and get to know each dog's name. She explained that her daddy wouldn't let her have a dog. He had his logical reasoning that they were out a lot and dogs needed attention. He would pretend to be a dog and run around and wag his arm behind him, pretending it was a tail. Oh, and then we would go to the pantomime at Christmas, Miriam says, and we would shout louder than anyone, "He's behind you!" Once I got asked to come up on stage with 2 other children and sing a song. We would bring a picnic also and listen to the brass bands at the bandstand. He called the tree that is now the sculpture Mr. Majestic. I came each day several years ago to see the woodcarver create the animals in the wooden stump. You loved your daddy, didn't you? Says Freya. Very much. Why do people have to die? Freya asks, sucking the end of her sweater and looking away at the fountain. I don't know, little one. I don't know. I wish it didn't have to happen. Maybe our planet Earth would just get too full if we didn't die. Why can't we all live until we're 100? That way we'd have enough life to feel we'd had a fair amount of time with people. Yes, Freya, said Miriam. I agree. My mummy says we all meet up in heaven after we've died, if we're good. Do you believe that? I'd like to, but I don't actually know, says Miriam. Some people think we may come back and live another life. Some people believe we're kept alive in other people's memories. But what do you think? Freya asks, turning her face upwards towards Miriam's. What do you believe? I believe that my daddy lived and that he loved me. He brought me here to the park most weekends, and he and I spent lovely hours together. We would even come when there was thick snow and it looked like Narnia. The footpaths would be totally buried. He died too soon, but every single day I feel him with me as I turn over a shared memory, like a precious gem, examining it, and then feeling his love for me all over again. And now, where is he now? Freya asks, her fingers inadvertently digging into Miriam's hand. Such is her intensity. Miriam thinks. He's here now. You see, I can sit here and talk to you and feel this gentle tenderness towards you, precisely because he loved me. I think he exists in my ability to love you, this little girl I'm sitting next to. Oh, says Freya, I like that. I like that a lot. Except, silly, of course you haven't just met me. You're my grandma. Will you still love me, even though you seem to keep forgetting who I am? Miriam looks a little confused. I think I forget because I'm older now. Will you remember me until you are old too, she asks Freya. Oh, absolutely, says Freya with a grin. Well, ladies, says Freya's daddy, I think it's time to get ice cream. So off the three of them go towards the pavilion, skirting around the people sitting on the grass and dogs doing their doggy frolics and the babies peering out of their pushchairs, the toddlers toddling and tripping, eager to get to the swings quicker. More memories are coming into being in this very moment. Even those that are forgotten were caressed in someone's heart once upon a time. How old was Grandma's daddy when he died? Freya whispers into her father's ear. He bends low and whispers back. Miriam was only 5 when he died, so he was very young. She's missed him for a very, very long time. I'm 5, Daddy. Can you live a long, long time until I'm old? I'll do my best, little one. I want more good memories with you than it's possible for one person to remember. Let's do that, Freya, he replies. What if I forget some? They'll still have happened, little one. Somewhere in there, your heart will still know them. Miriam is watching the people passing by. Would you like rum and raisin? He asks her. Turning towards him, she smiles politely and says, oh, no, thank you. My daddy will buy me one when he arrives. I'm not allowed to accept things from strangers. Absolutely, he says. May I tell you some stories about my lovely mother, whilst me and my daughter sit here with you while you wait for him? Oh, absolutely, Miriam replies. Then Miriam wakes up, groggy, still feeling unusually old and sad. You know, I dreamt I was old and had dementia and had a son and a granddaughter. I dreamt I was in the park with them. Her husband helps her over to the chair by the window. There, sweetheart, you can see the park now. We'll all be old one day, but just for now, put your feet up. I'm terribly tired, Miriam tells him as he kisses her. Well, you're 9 months pregnant and a baby due any day. It does that to a person, sweetie. Maybe your dream means we're going to have a boy. We'll have a son, maybe. We could name him after your dad. Oh, absolutely, says Miriam. That would be just lovely. We could take him to feed the ducks in the park and hire a rowing boat, eat ice cream, listen to the bands play. So many lovely memories still to be made. So she sits there, dozing contentedly, watching the sunlight flit through the tree outside. And when the first twinge of a contraction comes, she feels as though a wave is sweeping her up into the next chapter of her life story.
Oh, wow. Brilliant, Sarah. And that's been another story that I've heard evolve. So I don't think I'd heard that fully through to the end. So a twist and a twist. Okay, now I just remembered while Sarah was reading that, and I don't think we had any green tea, so you're okay. Nina had made a badge.
Yeah, you can't see it very well. Hold on, I'll take it off. I picked it up. It's not handmade. I'll put it in my camera. Oh, see? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Duck.
Yeah, it was there. But it was really small on screen, so there you go.
And we're getting to learn about virtual backgrounds and holding things up and them disappearing. So thank you for doing that. And I know Sarah's been up to Buxton and taken some more photographs, and Mark had already taken some, so they're all looking lovely. And I think Nina had been up as well. So we've all been up. And I think we all have memories of the Pavilion Gardens. That was nice in Sarah's story to hear all those. Okay. So that's been lovely today to hear Nina's story and Sarah's story. Nina and Sarah both got to go, so we're just going to say bye, and we're going to come back in a minute and hear a story from Pete and a story from myself. So bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
So over to Pete for your short story, which is remind me.
We are observing. Yes. We are observing. The flatbed lorry parked by the Buxton Theatre did not unduly raise any suspicions. Its cargo, a metallic-looking clamshell with a nodule. To all intensive purposes, a theatre prop yet to be installed. Not too far from the Pavilion Gardens were its attractions, the boating lake, the benches where people gathered and sat in groups, with smaller versions that made squeaky noises, some of excitement and others of sadness when a rebuff of enthusiasm was made. I made my way over to the boating lake. No one really noticed me. I was interested in the propulsion of the water pods. Some had sticks with a flat blade. Others, some crude method of mechanical propulsion processed by the adult. No worries here about superior technology then. But what was really interesting was a number of people who had some sort of communications device. They appeared to be very addictive to them, especially the younger element, and occasionally they would compare the illuminated screens with each other. No one noticed me as I took notes, making adjustments to understand the verbal communications. And I must mention the quadrupeds. They seemed to greet each other by smell. And the thought of one of us sniffing the disposable end of our bodies, well, that was abhorrent. It certainly did not appeal. And their language, mostly a gesture and a posture with the occasional guttural rebuke. I felt I should move on with my observations. The creatures on the water that the bipeds offered food to, now they were interesting. They had telepathic skills. And then the mechanical thing that was confined to a certain area took my eyes. It was an inanimate object coming to some form of life with one of the bipeds manipulating certain appendages that were turned, pulled, or tweaked. And then it pulled Its shriek was a cry of pain, but it was definitely not alive. And the younger element, they were excited about riding on it and expressed their version of its shriek when they couldn't. There was a quieter period when the bipeds left the area, only to return as the light dissipated. Some elements proved entertaining. Their darker outer garments matching the dissipating light, and they appeared to want to hide from each other. There were those who shed their garments below the main torso and started to fuse. They fused together, breathing rapidly, and I found this strange, as with darkness comes the odd lone biped who seemed to hide away. I think it was an attempt to observe those who were fusing. Anyway, my brief time here was over. And the vehicle where I had parked my interplanetary craft, I made the necessary coordinations, and I was on my way silently and efficiently. With our technological superiority, we had no fear of the dominant bipeds. Buxton Gardens would be an interesting folder. A flatbed lorry stood outside the theatre, innocuous and empty. Thank you. Enjoyed that. Not very long, but there we are.
I was still on mute there. You didn't get that round of applause. Thank you very much, Pete. So they're going back with no specimens from.
No samples, no specimens. Just observations.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? We often say, what would they think if they
What would they think of us? Yes.
Yeah, wandering around looking at our phones. And was that the train that got a mention in that story?
Yes, the train. Yes, yes. The mechanical inanimate object. Yes, with a shriek that wasn't pain.
Yeah, I've been there with my niece. With that disappointment, I think, not getting on, but we did get on there in the end. So I had a little trip round there on the little train.
Yeah,
Okay.
I kept it to about 500 words for it's about me. It's just a nice little piece to read. That's all.
Yes, lovely. And oh yeah, and the bit with the dog. So it just reminded me. I just picked up my mug with my cats on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've done a little story here, and again a little piece from the Pavilion Gardens, from the actual building, I think from where Pete has got a picture of behind. So this is Tea Dance at the Pavilion Gardens. George placed his new dancing shoes into the tote bag that his granddaughter Alice had bought him for his 75th birthday a year ago. It had musical notes on it, a reminder of another passion, playing the cornet in the brass band. Having a musical background had helped him to pick up dancing easily. Today he was going to a tea dance at the Pavilion Gardens in Buxton. It was strange how one place could pull you back over and over again. It didn't seem right though today. He was sad and his heart was heavy. He'd protested about going, but Alice had insisted. It's what Grandma would have wanted. She didn't buy you those new dancing shoes to sit in the box. She'd want you to carry on and enjoy life. That was easier said than done now that Brenda wasn't actually here. He'd vaguely promised Brenda himself that he'd get on with life, but this felt too soon. He wondered, though, when was the right time to socialise and pick up the pieces? He heard a car horn pip. It was his daughter Paula with Alice. He could picture Brenda ushering him out of the door like she did when he was playing in the band. Come on, George, don't keep our Paula waiting, and don't be worrying about me. I'll be making a steak pie for tea, your favourite. George and Paula exchanged pleasantries on the journey, while Alice listened to music on her phone. It was always good to hear the family news. Of course, that had been Brenda's job. She made it look so easy. Birthday cards and presents all organised, with family meals and looking after Alice when she was younger, not to mention Christmas. He'd not coped at all well with it last year without Brenda. Right, you two, I'll meet you back here at 5. Enjoy yourselves. Alice leapt out of the car. She was like a coiled spring raring to show her grandpa all the dance moves. George lingered. Paula reminded him so much of Brenda. He'd not realised it so much when Brenda was alive, but now it hit him hard. The same voice and mannerisms. Try and enjoy yourself, Dad. Alice is right. Mum would have wanted you to come to this. Get some use out of those new shoes that Mum drove me mad about buying. And if you get asked to dance, even if it's with Alice, just do it for me and Mum. I'll try, love. Thanks for the lift. George was feeling anxious just walking into the octagon, but he couldn't admit it to Alice. Try and enjoy yourself, Dad. Alice is right, and she would have wanted you to come to this. Get some use out of those new shoes that Mum drove me mad about buying. And if you get asked to dance, even if it's just with Alice, do it for me and Mum. I'll try, love. Thanks for the lift. George was feeling anxious just walking into the octagon, but he couldn't admit it to Alice. I have a lot of memories in this hall, you know. I got to see the Beatles by default in 1963. Newly recruited to the St. John's Ambulance I was. What a night. I met your grandma that night. She'd fainted like dozens of others, and I had to look after her. She settled for me after fainting for a Beatle. George laughed, remembering poor Brenda, who'd come round to the sight of his face looming over her. And then we came to the dances here before your mum was born. He could tell Alice was only half listening. Look, Grandpa, my friends are over there. They've saved us a couple of seats. There was already quite a few people there ahead of the 2 p.m. start. Lots of excited chatter. Alice introduced her grandpa to her friends. This is Chloe and Annabelle, who are twins. And this is our Nana Mary, one of the twins said. George couldn't tell the identical twins apart. Hello, Chloe, Annabelle and Mary. Lovely to meet you, George said, shaking all their hands. Oh, look, here's Michael and Jackie getting ready to start the afternoon's dancing off, Alice announced. George had known Michael and Jackie for years. He'd gone to all the social dances on a Wednesday night with Brenda. Michael and Jackie got the dancing underway, inviting everyone to dance the sequence square tango, a simple dance to ease people into the afternoon's dancing. Right, Grandpa, can you remember this? I'm sure it'll come back once we get going. George and Alice joined the dance floor and the steps came back just as he'd hoped. He remembered how Brenda loved stamping her foot in the tango. The dance finished and they returned to their seats. Okay, now the 11 to 18s are going to demonstrate the Emmerdale Waltz, but they need to see it dance with some finesse. Can I have 2 couples from the social evenings to demonstrate? Michael asked, looking round the room. One couple appeared on the dance floor and Mary also volunteered, but with no partner. Come on, George, you can do this one, Michael's voice boomed over the mic. George was shaking his head, but he could hear Alice shouting from the dance floor. Come on, Grandpa, show us how it's done. With finesse, she added cheekily. I've not done this for over a year, George protested to Michael. Don't worry, Mary is our Saturday night superstar. She'll keep you in step. The music started. Michael was right. He needn't have worried. Mary was an expert, and the beauty of the sequence dance was being able to follow the others. He could hear Brenda's voice. Watch my toes, George. I don't want my shoes scuffing. She loved the waltz, the rise and fall of her feet. the ballroom hold and posture. God, he missed her so much, he thought his heart would break. His attention returned to the present, and he started thinking about Mary and why she was here on her own. Life was so cruel sometimes. He'd maybe get a chance to have a chat with her when the tea and sandwiches were served later. And that's the end.
Very good, Simone. Lovely. Thank you. Nice little story, that.
Thank you, Pete.
Enjoyed it. Yes.
Thanks. Okay, so that's the end of our recordings today. There are others in our Secret Garden sequence, so I hope you'll be able to view those. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Bye.